Great.
Today I've tried to develop a networking talk that's, industry agnostic. So hopefully helpful to anybody that, needs to network for their business, which is sneak peek every business. I've also so excited to have Damon Sheppard here, who is the
Thank you.
business unit leader for, what do you call it? Office leader.
Managing director for
M-
the DC studio. Yeah.
yes.
So
Yes. And
I'm in
we've,
charge of the whole DC studio.
yeah. And how many people?
About 85 people in
85
DC.
people.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And we've known each other a long time. And so what we've done is we've set up this kind of like just a front end tips and tricks for basic networking. And then we'll dive into just a quick conversation about, you what our networking lives have been like over many years. Even though networking can kind of feel like this nebulous thing that's hard to define, and it is, but like the point is, you've been doing this all the time, right? Like you're probably your whole life in ways you didn't even realize. So we wanted to just highlight that for you. I would define networking as creating trust through repeated connection and support. It is not about collecting business cards or, quantity of people that you can reach, right? You really want to create those trusting relationships where you can call your friend on a Saturday and say, "Can you be in this thing on Wednesday that I want to do and talk about networking?" And he says yes, because he trusts me. So that's really where we're starting from. And so again, large events, how to find find success, I think is what I was trying to write, in finding quality connections in a sea of people, and then on one-on-one meetings, how to follow up with successful targeted interactions. And just starting from a big picture, I think in our world, we tend to gravitate towards a number of industry specific organizations, which likely exist in almost any business that you're working out of. There are a few that are incredibly helpful, I think, for almost any business that you have, whether you're a small B2B or B2C. Or then as you grow, it's also, I've found beneficial. Board of Trade, Chamber of Commerce, Leadership Greater Washington. So when you're getting ready for a large networking event, I would say, business cards are still a thing, although I have not brought one to a business meeting in a very long time. I tend to just tap my phone, link in with
Yeah.
people, or, you can send your contact info pretty easily. I've also found that, if you can just link in the moment, then you have that connection forever. You can always get back to it. So that would be my biggest, as far as business cards are concerned. Definitely name tag is important. Hopefully it's printed for you. If it's not, make sure it's legible. If you have bad handwriting, have somebody else write it for you, but you want people to be able to see. I think arriving early does help. Eat early so you're not hungry or you're not like, trying to get to the food. Like just make sure your needs are met so you can really stay focused on talking to people.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, be front and center. Maybe wear something fun that allows people like an easy entree to like start a conversation with you, like fun hat, fun pin, I don't know, whatever it is. And then yeah, be ready to move around. And we'll have some tips on how to do that successfully.
I'll just add one thing about the business cards. If you are collecting business cards, I think it's also an opportunity to just take notes. Like
Oh yeah,
note where I met this person,
totally.
because 2 weeks later you might have a stack of cards and not remember who you met where, and it's just a great way when you reconnect to tie it back to that moment, so they also recall.
Yeah.
So.
And so I'm curious, do you like stack them up on your desk and it's
Well, now I'm like you and I do the LinkedIn thing. I only get the business card just long enough to do LinkedIn
yeah.
because the LinkedIn stays with them.
Yeah.
Whereas the business card can sometimes have an
Always.
expiration date. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if they change organizations.
True.
Yeah.
That's so true. Yeah, I was just doing some cleanup and it's amazing how many people move around and it's good to keep in touch, of course. Long time.
Yeah.
I would always make sure you have your email, your phone number, your LinkedIn pathway. And then I think you can make your V card to have your like the logo of your company, should you have that as well.
I think LinkedIn might even have like a QR code option
Yeah, oh yeah,
where
LinkedIn
you
does have a QR
and
code.
then that way you can just curate the information you want on your LinkedIn, and there's always contact details
Yeah.
that you can include there as well. So
Yeah. I think I've done a LinkedIn thing for the 100 entrepreneurs as well, but that could be another follow on. There's so much to know about like LinkedIn these days. It's always evolving. So etiquette, this is basic stuff. I think you all know this, but it is important, I think, to reiterate. It's just, a good rule of thumb is what would grandma think maybe of the language that I'm using or topics that I'm bringing up. You kind of want to keep it correct, keep it politically correct. So eye contact, people remember you a lot more about your, demeanor, your eye contact, that connection that they make with you than anything that you're actually saying, right? It's always good. Shake the hand, hi, Tom, have the conversation. Tom, handshake, so nice to meet you. So that is going to help you to remember their name. And then they always like to know that you've remembered their name at the end of the conversation. That goes really well. And then always listen more than you talk. I think that, if they learn nothing about you, that's a risk. But, I think, learning more about them is the best way that I've always operated in these kinds of situations. That they ask about you, great, but always make it about them. And then obviously, don't interrupt. I don't even think we really need to say that. But yeah, and then I've always tried to operate of like being inclusive, like at these big events, like, you never know who's the person who's like kind of standing there not knowing what to do. Like you can't really fail by including others. And I've got some tips on getting out of conversations, so hold on that,
I need that one too.
Okay. And then as far as name recall, I read this awesome book called Moonwalking with Einstein, and it gives you a really interesting way to, like, as you're walking through the room and talking to people, it helps you figure out how to place people in the world. So they talk about like have a place really well and put the people in the house as you move along, and that'll help you remember details about them. What I do is when I meet somebody, I try and think like I'll be like, I think one of the first times I met Damon, we realized that he lived not far from me. So in my mind, I put him there with his wife and his kid, and like that just helps me remember details about him. So that's the bonus extra credit if you want to go there.
Jodi mentioned save alcohol for the end of the meeting. Took me
Yeah.
30 years to learn that.
It's so true. It's so true. And yeah, good point. So I think also in networking, it can be really hard to feel like you're making progress. It's just, kind of nebulous, as I said at the top. It also can feel really easy to just see the people you already know. So my rule of thumb is 75% of your time with new people, 25% reconnecting, and building existing relationships. And then if you can come away with 3 follow-ups, regardless of what they are, minor to major, I think that's a win. So don't put too much stress on yourself. So yeah, the art of conversation. Again, we're just reiterating, ask a lot of questions, and we're going to get to a little workshop about that. But a main big one is what are their pain points and how can you help? I think those generally yield the best follow-ups and the most fruitful for you, even if it's not and mainly because it's not about you, that's going to help build the trust if they feel like you really care about what is going on for them. And then obviously, I think it also goes without saying, but your conversation's going to wind and turn based on how they respond, right? I do think, it's important to go into these things with your elevator pitch or your key stats in the back of your mind. For us, I feel like it's second nature because we've been doing this a long time. But if you are starting a new business, I do think it's important to kind of really think about what like highlights of your story you want people to know. Is something cool or new happening in your industry? So like in construction, I love to talk about mass timber. So maybe I'll come up like with the coolest thing that's happening in there, or a neat building, prefab or whatever. I mean, you have, I'm sure, some as well, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, one thing I will add here too, just in terms of building and storing your ammo, is the more you can be intentional about making sure it's something you actually personally care about too. That comes across when you talk about it, right? And it's not just this kind of nebulous thing that you think they want to hear about, and
Right.
the point you want to get, like, be genuine and be real to yourself in telling
Right.
those stories too.
This part, the
Yeah.
smooth exit. We've all found ourselves in places where, we feel like we need to get out of, because it's wasting time or it's just not a genuine connection or, there's nothing there. So, my advice is wait for a breaking conversation, add in somebody new. Have you, did you get a chance to meet so and so, blah, blah, blah. Here, I'm going to let you two talk. Bye. Um, obviously if you're hosting, it's easy to say, oh, I gotta go refill the drinks or whatever. Or I have to go to the restroom. That's always popular. The follow-up, you found a keeper. Now what? Thank them, handshake, create a reason to follow up. This is something they need help with, somebody you've promised to introduce them to, a next event that you want to bring them to. But these are just some that I've used in the past. Obviously a meal is great. In my world, a job site tour is always amazing. Or if they're developing a building that I want to build, ask to see their building. Golf, obviously, going to a game, going to the office. We have wine bars at DPR, so we'll have a wine bar. And then I always do a curling event, which is pretty unique and attention grabbing. I had a lot of fun making this little sheet of how Damon and I know each other. We met, I think, 10 plus years ago at a conference in Vancouver. He had like a vendor thing, and I kind of knew him. And I was like, man, he's cool. I want to hang out with him more. And so then we started to just get breakfast because we realized we didn't live too far from each other. And then there were a number of meetings I could remember where we brought in other people as maybe we were chasing something that he was working on, or he wanted to meet some people that I knew. And then he's been an adjunct professor at Howard for a super long time, right?
Yeah, well, it's been a while ago now, but I did it for like 4 years.
Yeah, and he had a grad student that he connected me with, which is really cool. And I try to keep in touch with her. I was gonna see how she's doing. And then, as we were saying earlier, people move. Damon switched his firm to Perkins&Will, and lo and behold, we still hang out.
Yeah.
And I was able to, bring him to a lunch with a lot of our leaders, and the Perkins&Will leaders, so that we could kind of continue to grow that relationship. And then, as I mentioned at the beginning, over many years, I could just call him on a Saturday and be like, "Can you do this with me?" And he said yes. So I wanted to know, just kind of generally speaking about has networking always come easy to you, or has it something that you've struggled with to figure out the way that works best for you?
I think I had to learn. All
Yeah.
right. I wouldn't I'm naturally personable, but I don't know that I understood what networking was initially, right? And actually people like you and others spending time with you, you actually start to learn, right? It really is just about building a relationship,
Yeah.
right? And maintaining that relationship. And quite honestly, there may never be the direct Damon and Jodi project, right?
Right.
But the tentacles that expand from our relationship can be very impactful, right? And I think starting to understand it through that lens really shaped how I see networking and the benefits of nurturing those relationships.